You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, good evening. Welcome into Greenie Sports Cards Live, the world's first multi-stream broadcast for the hobby industry, coming to you across a multitude of platforms. You may be watching us on the Facebook, the Instagram, the old Twitter, X, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and a couple of other points in between. And we appreciate you joining us, as many of you continue to do every Tuesday. Greenie Sports Cards Live is now presented by Collectibles on SI in partnership with Sports Cards Nonsense, and we thank them for their partnerships. If you missed that announcement a couple weeks back, very, very exciting stuff for us here at Greenie Sports Cards Live. And what that means for you and for us is more eyeballs, more content, more engagement, more people participating in the shows, more awareness, and access to all kinds of cool stuff in partnership with Collectibles on SI and Sports Cards Nonsense. We are coming to you live as we do every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. A couple of programming notes. Traditionally, we do a live auction following this broadcast with Greenie and I. Alex is on vacation, our auctioneer extraordinaire, so he'll be back possibly Thursday. We'll let you know on the socials. Make sure you're following us. Give us a like or a comment or a follow wherever you are watching. And you can do that during the show itself, too, if you want to participate. If you have questions for any of our guests and comments, you can participate in the show. It is an interactive fair coming to you coast to coast. Joe Wismirski, who joins us from Phoenix Card Shop with Hobby News, is also off this evening. So we have plenty of other stuff to cover between Greenie and I. A couple of shows, including the Mountain State Collectors Convention, which we were at last weekend. Greenie has the Medina County Collectors Fair coming up this weekend, and we've got some terrific content and a jam-packed show for you this evening, including an interview with Juice from LootboxTV, who joined us for all 3 days out at the Mountain State Collectors Convention. We also have some interview content with a West Virginia legend, the all-time leading rusher at West Virginia, Avon Cobourne, who graciously joined us at the show as well. Wait till you hear his resume of accomplishments. A Mountaineer legend in the flesh was able to join us last weekend. And then we'll be talking to part of the Gibby's family as well, who is now and has become a renowned Pokemon expert and experts in their field. Gibby's family has joined us at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. They were at the Mountain State Collectors Convention, and they will be in Medina this weekend in full force for the Medina County Collectors Fair. Brittney Gibson will join us, part of Gibby's family, and we'll talk about Pokemon and the growth of Gibby's family and the trading card, the TCG space, and lots of cool other stuff. So with that, we're going to go ahead and welcome in the man himself to Greenie Sports Cards Live, presented by Collectibles on SI. The man himself, Steve Greenberg, a.k.a. Greenie. Welcome to your show.
Once again, Jeremy, thanks for having me. I do appreciate it. But yeah, the collectibles on SI and sports cards nonsense is what a terrific partnership. We are glad to have formulated that. It's been months in the work and plenty of discussions, but now it's come to fruition, and you'll see a lot more things popping up in the coming weeks and months ahead, leading up to the national.
Yeah, very cool stuff. We appreciate their partnership. Of course, Gio was on 2 weeks ago along with Joe, announcing that the collectibles on SI and sports cards nonsense partnership. And like you said, lots more to come. But what's really exciting about that is the legendary brand of Sports Illustrated that will allow us to have content in the long form and articles and access. If you're in the hobby space, you're going to want to check them out. It's si.com/collectibles. So make sure you check that out. And of course, Sports Cards Nonsense, a terrific site on the social space with ongoing commentary and all kinds of fun stuff. So we'll be pulling content from those sites. They'll be pulling content from us, and the broadcast empire will be expanding with future announcements.
Yeah, no question. We look forward to those. The articles too. It's going to be very interesting because we're going to do a lot of write-ups about our shows and pre-show and post-show. So there'll be a lot of stuff that you can read on collectibles on SI.
Very, very cool. So, Greenie, a lot to get to tonight, but first we've got the Medina County Collectors Fair coming up this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more when Brittney comes on. There's a trade night on Friday night, the 30th, presented by the Gibby's family, and then the main show will be on Saturday. Give us the time and the location of that.
So yeah, the Medina County Collectors Fair. It is at Medina County Fairgrounds. It's in their community center. It's around the back. We have all the addresses and everything pertinent on the website, greeniesportscards.com. But we've been there before. We were there twice last year, and it drew fantastic numbers. What's different is it's not a traditional sports or non-sports show. It's everything. And there are some comic book vendors. The vinyl guy, he won't be there at this show, but he'll be back in the fall. But I know there's some toys. There's some 3D printing. There's actually going to be face painting with I forget her name. Sarah is her name. She's going to be Prestige Gaming. She's going to be doing face painting, and I believe the first 20 kids will get free face painting, and then I think it's pretty minimal. It's like $5 or something like that. But I know the first 20 kids will get face painting for free at Prestige, and they'll be pretty close to the front of the room. They'll have their own 4-table square, so that's going to be pretty cool and something that you don't see at a lot of the shows. But so Friday. We'll be open 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It is like a preview night, a trade night. So you'll be the first to see all the vendors' stuff if you want to come at 3 p.m. There'll be a section of empty tables where people can do some trading with each other and, put some stuff out of their own. And that'll go till 7 o'clock, 3 to 7 o'clock on Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to go all day, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., your traditional show. So we actually sold out. I believe we're at 163 4 tables. I'm sorry. So it's going to be a packed room. So we've actually expanded into the second room this time. So, and when we say second room, it's pulling the spacer back. It's not like a different room down the hall. I mean, so you wouldn't even know second room if I had not said that. But so yeah, Friday, Saturday, and we love it there. We have a food truck on site. Sig's Coffee, he'll be there as well on Saturday. The Medina County Sheriff's Department will be there securing everything all day Friday, overnight Friday, and into Saturday. So, it's a full event.
Very cool stuff. Big event in Medina this weekend. And Greenie, card show history was made almost 2 weeks ago in West Virginia, the Mountain State Collectors Convention. We're going to give everybody a little bit of a taste, about a minute of what that show looked like, and then we'll come on the backside, talk about it, and we've got plenty of content coming out of there. So Greenie,
And
that was
show,
instantly the biggest trading card show in West Virginia history, right out of the box. What are your emotions and your thoughts a little bit removed from it these days?
I mean, man, it was really cool. You know, we've been doing this for 20 years, and it's always cool to see people's expression and when they thank you for the show, and you know, all the different things that we do here locally in Northeast Ohio. But man, when people came to that show and they walked around and they left, I mean, so many people came up and said, "Man, thank you for bringing a show like this to Charleston." And you know, we thought that this area deserved a show this size. I mean, it's a big city with many avenues to other cities, and it's a great town to hang out in. We had a chance to go to the Dirty Birds baseball game. We got to go out to dinner on the main strip a couple nights, and it's a fantastic. You know, you call it a little city, but it's 50,000 people in that city, so it's not that small. But the amount of people that just were ecstatic to have this kind of show, and when they got there, it was different people than they see at some of the normal shows around town. So that was something else too, is we brought a lot of out of town vendors from, I think it was like 8 or 9 different states, something like that last I counted. So you know, the community loved it. And not just the community. I mean, like you saw in that video, the TV stations. There were 3 different TV stations that came and covered it. The radio stations covered it. You'll see on some of the interviews, you know, the podcast, the Touchdown City show. So, I mean, this city really embraced it, and it was terrific. I mean, it was really a terrific show.
It really was. The energy was terrific. The town was really surprising, Charleston, from the standpoint of we didn't really know what to expect other than you're putting on a show there. But what a great town. The people couldn't have been more accommodating, from the Convention and Visitors Bureau to the convention center to the town itself to the hotels. And we can really see this show growing in the coming years. Just the exhibitor experience, the vendor experience, the attendees, it was all on point. And that's not just a testament to your staff, the Greenie staff, but all of the partners that came together and really embraced this show.
Yeah, no question. I mean, there were several sponsors, and you know, Select Cards, who's on the ground there in Charleston. I mean, Jeremy and Steve were terrific partners, and you know, they promoted the heck out of this show to anybody that would listen in Charleston. And you know, they have a huge following there. They're on the radio once a week and locally. So to have them, you know, promoting and helping us was terrific. Max, you know, Sports Cards, who's local. So, you know, the Retro Reset, who's semi-local. So there was a lot of local flavor there, and, you know, as well as the people from out of town. So, I mean, we had a lot of help in advertising this show.
Absolutely. And one of those was GA Grading. You're watching Greenie Sports Cards live, presented by Collectibles on SI in partnership with Sports Cards Nonsense. And Greenie, we're going to get to Lootbox TV with John, aka the Juice. We'll hear from him. We're going to hear from West Virginia Mountaineer legend Avon Cobourne, and then we'll come on the backside with on the other end with Brittney of Gibby's family, and we'll talk about the Pokemon space and go from there.
Juice from Lootbox TV at the Mountain State Collectors Convention, presented by Greenie Sports Cards and supported by the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is day 3 out here. Friday we were out here setting up, and then with the show, and then Saturday a lot of people from the area came through, and this is day 3 as we concluded at 3 p.m. And Juice, we appreciate you coming out and spending a couple minutes with us today. You've been here all weekend.
I have.
First of all, tell us about Lootbox TV.
Sure, yeah. Lootbox TV is a YouTube channel where we open very expensive wax at times, but now I've gone away from opening, and I really focus on the buying and selling in the hobby. But it's basically just sharing my experience with my buddy Jen He's the other half of Lootbox TV. Him and I started opening up a ton of product, and now we're trying to transitioning kind of away from that. We still do it, but it's more of buying and selling right now.
So you have gin and juice.
Yep, there you go.
I appreciate that, the play on words. How did you become the juice?
It's a nickname that I've had since I was like 10 years old. I played football younger, and in high school, they kind of made a joking reference to juice, and it kind of just stuck. And yeah, it's a high school nickname for sure.
Very cool. What is your earliest memory of collecting? What is that first piece when you go way back to the nostalgia factor of it? What was it that crystallized this love for the hobby for you?
Yeah, 1994, collecting Ken Griffey Jr. 90s cards with my grandfather. That's really when collecting started. Was really big into baseball in the 90s. Then around the end of 99, going in 2000, Pokemon took over my life. And I did like Pokemon tournaments, played the card game growing up, and then got out of collecting a little bit when I became a teenager, and then picked it back up in my mid-20s, slowly but surely. And then in 2018, decided to reshift the focus of the YouTube channel to start more with collecting and opening packs. Then I started opening up Magic and Pokemon packs, and then I realized, hey, if I get someone else to help me with this, I can be more consistent with opening up product and everything else. And that's when I got my buddy Jin involved, and then we really just started growing the channel from there.
So you mentioned getting back in 2018. There's a clear delineation in the hobby when COVID hit, and it sort of turned into this rocket fuel. Talk a little bit about pre-COVID in 2018 when you were starting out and getting back into it, and then where we are now as an evolution.
Yeah, when I got back into it, it was more about a chase of certain Pokemon packs and Pokemon cards. Right around, I want to say 2016, 2017, Pokemon started picking up steam again. Then they released a set called Evolutions. And that's like a throwback to the 90s, and that kind of like brought back the nostalgia for me. The cards looked the same. There was Charizard, things like that. And then I slowly got back into, I found these vintage packs, and I was usually able to get vintage packs for like $30 a pack. And now the same packs I got for $30 slowly went up to $50, then it went up to $175, then it became like $400 a pack. And over time, it started growing into that. Right when COVID hit, it was kind of funny. I stopped opening up Pokemon because it got too expensive, and I was like, I'll go over to sports cards. It's a little bit more affordable. And I loved, obviously, sports cards in the 90s, and I started ripping sports cards, and then all of a sudden, I want to say like early 2001, or 2021, it just took off. Absolutely took off. And no matter where I went, everything got expensive. And then over time, it was... it's always a blast, ripping and pulling that card that you want to chase. Then it slowly became, I wasn't really pulling crazy amounts, so we wanted to switch it up. Now in 2025, I guess, 2024 is really when we decided to switch up the content, and then 2025 is now all about the buying and selling aspect of it, really.
Historically, there's been a separation of genres in sports and TCG, but here at the Mountain State Collectors Convention, and many other shows across the country, there seems to be much more crossover and much more of an acceptance of just collectors in general. And not so much I collect sports cards or I collect trading cards, but more of an embrace of memorabilia in general.
Yeah. I think that it just has to do with time and the people, from the early 2000s getting into collecting more, having money, where they have disposable income, where they can actually spend a little bit more. And I think they're mixing all their loves, and I think it's becoming more of a accepted that, hey, you can collect anything you want, buy whatever you want type of deal. And I think everybody's really getting into it now. Plus, I think Pokemon's becoming a little bit more accepted for everybody, is because you realize Pokemon Charizard can't, tear an ACL or get into trouble or anything like that.
Get a DUI.
Right.
Yeah, I have. I've shared this story before. I have an interesting perspective on the evolution. I'm not a collector per se. I don't buy and sell trading cards, but I've been in the orbit of the collecting universe for 25, 30 years. I produced the National Sports Collectors Convention in Cleveland through 5 cycles on behalf of them. Since 2000, I've been to, I believe, 12 different nationals as a part of supporting the event, behind the scenes, the operations, working on the floor planning, the logistics, the marketing and media. And I can recall my first show in 2000 in Anaheim, and it was a sports collectors convention. And if you go to the back of the hall, there was a drape similar to this, and there were some games placed out and some volunteers standing out front that were begging people to come in and check out this new game called Pokemon, where they were trying to explain the rules and they were giving away cards and sets, and they couldn't give this stuff away.
Yeah.
And this would have been the original run of these cards, and you're talking 1999 into 2000, and they could not give these cards away. To think 25 years later, the enterprise that it's become, and how much those cards might have been worth if I'd have been savvy enough to just keep them.
Yeah, and it's crazy because with Pokemon, a lot of it's all about condition. So like those cards now, it's so hard to even get the mint condition. The lightly played, even the heavy played stuff is becoming more collectible and so forth. And I feel the same with like Magic stuff. Like vintage Magic is still something that a lot of people don't understand and know about, but there's a lot of cool stuff with the vintage Magic around the 95 era and so forth. So there's a lot of cool stuff that is being collected now.
Sure. And what the industry figured out along the way, whether it's Topps or Leaf or Nintendo, is that unlike the junk wax era, as we've come to know the oversupply, what they figured out is if you limit the supply and you create these one-of-ones and unique versions of cards, you essentially set the marketplace. So they've gotten a lot more savvy. The production companies and the owners of the content and the licenses have figured out you create these chase cards and make it appealing for people to continue collecting.
I just wish they would calm down with the sets a little bit. There's a lot of like a rookie nowadays, like this past year, there's a rookie that probably has like 600 101s, and it's like a little bit too much. Like, all right, like I want the chase, but like when there's like 600 101s, like it's not really a 101 anymore. And the thing is, they use the same image. So like if you look at some of the Prism basketball, for instance, like there's a basketball player, let's say Reed Shepherd, he's like holding the ball up top. It's the same exact image across all their basketball sets, and all those sets are 101. At least making the image different. Like,
yeah, they messed with the paper and the chrome and the interesting designs and really the evolution as well that's been fascinating is the jersey cards or even the baseball back cards and figuring out how to repackage items to create interesting memorabilia. Yeah,
there is a lot of cool, unique cards out there that I would give Topps really good credit for. Grabbing some of these jersey pieces, making some really cool cards, and it's the idea of like historic moments. Like Topps now has some of their products are pretty cool, especially with some iconic moments where an athlete is doing something historic. Shohei Ohtani, Victor Wembanyama, whatever that may be, where you can actually get a piece of their fabric from the game and an auto on a card of like, hey, I saw this game. I saw Freddie Freeman hit a grand slam, walk-off grand slam in the World Series. They have a piece of that card with his auto on it. It was just sick.
Very cool. So you've lived around the country, you've traveled around the country, you've been to many, many shows. What is your first memory of a show, of a collector's event?
Well, I guess like the first time I ever been to a show was for like a Pokemon tournament when I was a kid in the early 2000s. And then more in the was probably be the National right after COVID. It's like the best card show I've been to. That was insane. And shout out to Louisville Sports Cards. Adam right there. See the guy in the red polo? That guy's cool. Garrett way back there. If he takes his hat off, you can see the shine from his head. Those guys have been really, really cool.
Was that the Chicago show?
Yeah, right after COVID in Chicago, experiencing that and having them be there with me and show me the ropes of the National, which was one of the craziest experiences I've ever seen in a positive way.
Yeah.
In the sense of size and the amount of people and the booths and everything.
And for me too, and for that to be your first show, having, again, seen those shows since 2000 and kind of the trajectory of it, and going to Chicago, it was different. Whether that was your first show or not, it was a different experience. And we knew we were in a different game where every aisle was packed. There were more people that I'd ever seen internationally. There were more corporate booths. There were more activities. There were more breakers. It was just more. And I remember thinking, because the show was going to go back to Cleveland to the IX Center the following year, I remember thinking, I don't know where it goes from here. I don't know if you could even top this. And it did. There were more people and more booths and more stuff in Cleveland, and now it's coming back to Chicago in that space, and the footprint is even grown, and the layout, and now with a little bit of post-COVID experience under the producer's belt, they've laid that show out a little bit differently and figured out how to accommodate that many people. And so it'll be really interesting this year in Chicago to see where it goes.
Yeah, and I got my VIP ticket. I'm there. It's gonna be interesting to see. You know, when I knew we were in a unique space is when the National was in Atlantic City, and the amount of people that came to Atlantic City, of all places after after COVID, it was awesome there, and just to see it move around. I wish it would go out west a little bit more, but maybe it'll eventually make it out there at some point. But yeah, I'm super excited.
It's such a unique animal that there are only so many venues and so many facilities and cities that can actually handle an event that size, and all those things have to come together. And here we are in Charleston, West Virginia. This is the first ever Mountain State Collectors Convention. Greenie Sports Cards has been producing shows for 20 years in the Ohio area, and made a connection with the Convention and Visitors Bureau and a partnership to give this a try. This was a first-time event. Many of us, first time in the city, first time in the building. What were your first impressions coming into this weekend, and where we are now a couple days later?
You know, I've seen a lot of shows start for the first time, and this has been one of the best laid out shows, one of the best planned shows, one of the best advertised shows, and I think over time it's going to continue to grow. I've seen other shows where it was in a room 1/4 the size of this, end up being 3 times the size of this room. So I think that definitely has the possibility, and I think it's a great location. And I think next year when it happens again, we're going to see a tremendous turnout.
I would agree with that. I think the city itself, we want to shout out the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Charleston and the Charleston Convention Center and Coliseum, and really just the partners that have embraced this, and the overwhelming response from vendors but particularly residents and people that live within an hour and a half have just graciously thanked Greenie and the production team of taking that risk and bringing a show here. And I can't wait to dig in for next year, because you got to plant your flag and establish it, and then really grow it. And fundamentally, you can't do it without the partnership of the vendors, dealers, exhibitors. This doesn't exist without them committing as well and bringing their product and participating. 100%. And GA Grading is one of those key partners as well. And really appreciate you guys, and appreciate you being here, and we can't wait to do this again.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
All right, that's been The Juice from Lootbox TV. We're out here at the Mountain State Collectors Convention, presented by Greenie Sports Cards in partnership with the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau. Before we jump, let everybody know where they can find you on the socials.
Instagram, YouTube, X now, they call it TikTok, everything Lootbox TV. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
The Juice, Jeremy, the Juice. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, gin and juice. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I'm glad that he came out. I mean, he came from Vegas. That's where he lives. He lives in Las Vegas. He's been friends with the guys at Louisville Sports Cards, and then Garrett and Adam, who work at Louisville Sports Cards, have brought out GA Grading. Garrett and Adam, so. We appreciate everything that they've done, and they were a big help. I mean, people loved submitting cards for grading, and to be able to have them there. We have TNT that comes to the Great Lakes show, so you can't maybe get PSA, but you can get pretty close, and you can get some of these companies that do a great job in doing the bulk grading. So, and then Lootbox coming out, so that was terrific. So, and Anthony Lewis, yeah, that's a great segue, Anthony Lewis. So him and Avon Cobourne have a podcast on the Touchdown City Club, and you had a chance to sit down with Avon at the show, and what a tremendous guy he is, right? I mean, still 20 some years later is the all-time leading rusher at West Virginia University. And that's, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you're talking a Big East school. I don't know if they're in the Big East anymore with all the changes, but as we know it, they were a Big East powerhouse for years. And, you know, he rushed for 5,000 yards, and that record still stands today, which is pretty terrific. So I know you had a chance to sit down and talk to him. I don't know if this is part of on the interview, but I distinctly remember from you were in the back of the room, I was in the front of the room, and I heard somebody singing Country Roads, and then I heard other people started singing along. He actually started that. And that just goes to show you how much he loves being around this, and that's why he's with the Touchdown City show with Anthony. And if you want, we can go ahead and we can play that interview, and you had a great time talking to Avon.
Yeah, we sure did, Greenie. And it's been such a blur. I actually forgot about that moment. It was viral. We asked Avon to test the mics as you do in the live environment, and he started singing Country Roads, and it started picking up throughout the room. And I think it really would have taken off, but we ended up segueing into this interview. So yeah, pleasure to talk to him. We thank Anthony Lewis, Touchdown City Club, and HD Media for their participation. As Anthony said, we can't wait to grow it for next year, and hope you enjoy this interview with Avon Cobourne.
We are here at the Mountain State Collectors Convention presented by Greenie Sports Cards in partnership with the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we're very fortunate to have with us today a West Virginia legend, Avon Cobourne. And I'm going to go ahead and read off your list of accomplishments because they are so prevalent that I could not commit them to memory. But let's talk about this a little bit. So West Virginia Mountaineers running back from 1999 to 2002, holding multiple school records, including the all-time leading rusher with 5,164 yards, most rushing attempts in school history, most career 100-yard rushing games with 28, and you became the only player in West Virginia history to record 4 consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons, set the Big East record for most career rushing yards and carries, and as a senior in 2002, rushed for 1,710 yards, 17 touchdowns, first team All-Big East, third team All-American, and a single game best performance of 260 yards. And as an undrafted free agent in 2003, joined the Detroit Lions for 7 games and had a bit of a taste of the NFL. Avon, first of all, thank you for joining us today. We're here at the Mountain State Collectors Convention. You are one of the few players as or participants here as your co-host on the Touchdown City show. Anthony Lewis said actually has a card in the room. Talk a little bit about what it is like to have such a storied career at a university, to be in this area, from the area, and the type of reception that you get as a player.
Yeah, it's always good. You know, it's always good to be wanted. You know, first of all. Secondly, you know, thank you for having me. I worked hard, man. I worked hard, and you know, I had some great teammates that allowed me to do the things I needed to do. And you know, like you said, it's kind of cool to have yourself walk around, and then your son is like, I want my dad's card, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And he did get a card of you, which is pretty awesome. As we shared, the list of accomplishments is many. Is there a particular memory, though, that sticks out from you from your playing career? And maybe it's not the record-setting game or anything in particular, but maybe it's the camaraderie or the locker room. What sticks out to you about your college experience?
I mean, all of it, to be honest with you. I mean, I would say the biggest thing that that kind of sticks out to me is when I my last game, and the fans carried me off the field, and my teammates dumped the Gatorade on me. I mean, that was probably my best moment, because you know, my teammates got involved, and it showed me that they cared about what I did.
So now you've got the benefit of a little hindsight after your playing career. You've been a coach and coached as well, and now in the media space with the Touchdown City show. When you look back, what is the piece of advice that you might be able to bestow on a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that you could share with them these days?
Yeah, my son is about to graduate from the 8th grade, and there was a cousin that came by. He's about to graduate from high school, and you know, my son entering in, kind of same question, like, you know, what would you say to your freshman year self. And one thing I will say to these young kids, it's a different landscape now. So, my advice is kind of antiquated because, it's just a different.
The NIL space and transfer portal
and everything else that goes into play. But, one thing I will say is go where you want it. You know what I mean? Go where you want it. And, now it's different. You got to go where you're getting paid. You know what I mean? You got to go where, not necessarily where the bag is the best, but you got to go where they're going to want you and find a spot where you have an opportunity to play. Because if you don't play early and you're getting paid, they're going to find a way to get you out of there.
We find ourselves in a completely different world where student athletes now may consider staying because there's more money in the NIL space than they might get in the next level. And Archie Manning may be an example of that. Somebody who, as a prospect, might go in the first round, but he might make a lot more money staying in college. And you see those stories across the board.
Right.
Talk a little bit how it is different from the days you played. You got the broad strokes of NIL and the transfer portal, but what is the nuance of the differences?
The biggest factor is, these kids are a lot more healthy than we were. We actually got one meal a day. These kids get to eat every day. They get to eat as much as they want. We had one meal a day, and now these kids get to eat any hours of the day. They got food cards. They got the whole thing. Everything.
On-staff nutritionist and weight training. Yeah.
Everything changed. Everything changed. It's just the access to the on-staff nutritionist to kind of. The facilities are 50 times better. But again, if it stayed the same, you wouldn't want to come to a school like that. So, everything's changed, and it's all changed for the better. These kids are getting paid now, which they're supposed to, and they should have been getting paid. We should have been getting paid. And now, the nutrition is there. Just the deals that they get, to better their families while they're in college making money. So it's a great change, but it's also, bad at the same time because there's no regulations right now. They're trying to put them in place, but there's no regulations. It's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, the Pandora's box has been opened, and the guardrails weren't necessarily in place to try and rein it back in. We talked about the benefit of hindsight a little bit with the Touchdown City show. You're still connected to the program. You get to talk about football. Talk a little bit about the state of the program. And I know a big question coming back is Rich Rodriguez and the coach coming back. What is the state of the program, and what can fans look forward to seeing this coming season?
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm glad we do have Rich back because he understands who he is. I heard him say, there's one place that I can go, and people know who I am. I know what it's like to be a freshman. I know what it's like to live in the area. I know what it's like to coach there. I know what it's like to play there, and he can just relate, which is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? So that just puts it in perspective. That I think we got the right guy. Don't know for sure. Let me say this. I know we got the right guy. Will we win early? That's to be determined.
We're here at the Mountain State Collectors Convention presented by Greenie Sports Cards in partnership with the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau. Talking with Avon Cobourne, former running back for the West Virginia Mountaineers. And want to talk about and kind of wrap this up with the show itself. This is a first time a show of this size and scale has been in this area. What are your first impressions when you come into a room like this and you see a bit of the fandom in real life and being able to touch some of the cards and the helmets and the jerseys? And what are your first thoughts of this?
This is not my thing. You know what I mean? My kids, they love it. I'm not a collector. That's not. Right. It's not something I ever really got into. It's great. This place has been busy the entire time I've been here, which is crazy. But for me, this is not something that I'm into. So I don't see the value. It's just not a thing for me.
Yeah, me either. But it's the Greenie team for sure.
Yeah.
But we enjoy the opportunity. I do in particular for the opportunity to talk to unique athletes and personalities and to tell their stories. And so we appreciate you being here today.
I can get behind listening to a former player come up and talk about that. But I mean, as far as cards and stuff, I just, that's not my thing, but my kids love it. I mean, it's packed in here. You guys did a great job of filling this thing up.
Well, our thanks for you to join us today, and we're going to bring back Anthony Lewis, one of your co-hosts, and you guys can talk a little bit about West Virginia football.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny, Jeremy. A lot of athletes like him and even coaches, they say that they're not into the collecting. As you say as well, give Avon a year or two. We bring him back to another show, and he's going to bite, because it's just different, right? Like, there's different degrees of collecting, and you know, he may not sit there and buy cards, but like, you know, you see a jersey, you see a helmet, you see a unique West Virginia piece, and you know, there's all different things of types of collecting. You know, he may not buy a 2015 Topps baseball set, but you know, I bet you, and this, if you asked him, I bet he has some of his game worn memorabilia. Well, it's memorabilia now, but game worn items from when he played. So, yeah.
Yeah, Greenie, I think the common thread, one of my favorite things about this whole ecosystem, is really every piece has a story to it. There's a nostalgia factor, or there's a memory, and everybody connects to it in different ways. And I think you're right. And that's the special thing about these shows. It's one thing to be on eBay and the other platforms and being able to buy and sell across the country. But we've talked, I don't think anything will ever replace the live environment where people can get together, they can touch and feel the merchandise and the cards, and they can exchange stories, and they can connect with like-minded individuals. And you come away with the sense of community and nostalgia. And that's a really special part of this hobby.
No question. And we've seen that over the last couple of years tremendously, and, you know, growing the Great Lakes Collectors Convention, and then the Mountain State and the Medina show. So, I mean, it's been terrific to watch.
It has, and we can't say it enough. These things don't happen without terrific partners, and one of those is the Gibby's family that joined the Great Lakes Collectors Convention for the first time this year, had a big presence. They joined the Greenie team in Charleston for the Mountain State Collectors Convention. They will be in Medina this weekend with a big presence as well, and we're very fortunate to welcome in Brittney Gibson, part of the Gibby's family, and just simply, first of all, say thank you.
There we go. There we are.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're doing well. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for kind of trusting us to put some of these shows together, and with your help, bringing quite a bit of Pokemon into the equation here.
Well, thank you for having me tonight, but thank you for having us in general. Greenie, you've been more than supportive as we've grown, which has been a lot the last couple months.
It has, and you know, you started, and you still are, Gibby's Toys and Collectibles.
Yeah.
But you've kind of branched out a little bit, and you have this whole dynamic of the Gibby's family, and tell us a little bit about that and how that came about, and what exactly is it for people that don't know?
So Travis and I started doing shows in February of last year, and we've met some awesome people along the way. So we met Dude Trio not very long after we started. We met Anthony, I think last September, right after we had the baby. Zach from R&D, we've known for a while. I mean, I've known him longer because he's from the area, but we started doing these shows with the same people, and we were already calling them, asking, hey, are you going to be there? Are you going to come with us? Am I going to see you this weekend? So it kind of started more organically rather than a business venture. But the more we did it together and tried to be next to each other during shows, we realized that we had this concept of a one-stop shop. The certain things that Travis and I excelled at, you know, Anthony has a different category, and the Dude Trio boys have different things. And now the Nine and Dimes boys and Mike at 614 Pokemart, like, they all bring something else to the group. So not only do we get to spend almost every weekend vending with our friends, but we can offer a lot more thorough of a shopping experience than we were able to before. So we're pretty much just a mobile store at this point.
It's interesting, and the space, when there's these larger rooms, right, like Charleston or the Great Lakes, you guys are able to have this huge area, which you'll have again in Medina. So, how does that work? Like like everybody's different, but you're kind of together, right?
Oh yeah. So, we're not partners in the sense that we have to answer to each other, or like we can still do our own thing. We can take on different shows. Like most of us were in Hilliard this weekend, but the Nines and Dimes boys were in Strongsville. And then I think Dude Trio went to Detroit, whereas Travis and I stayed home and gardened. So we still have autonomy in our own separate businesses, but we get together, and by the time somebody is looking for a specific thing or a specific set, like a couple weekends ago in Charleston was super cool because there was this kid trying to master set Crown Zenith. And so we went around asking everybody, hey, do you have this? This is next on the list. This is next on the list. And so we were able to get this kid really close to master setting the whole set of Crown Zenith. And I think we even involved Prestige Gaming. They had like a Simisear or something that this kid was looking for. So we were able to get him involved. But it's really cool to be able to offer people a more collective experience and get them everything that they're looking for. And I feel like people really feel more heard also when they say, hey, I'm looking for these things specifically. And we go out of our way to say, hey, let me check with everybody. So, I mean, we think it's fun. And I think it's nice that we have regulars who are also becoming more involved and having fun with us. Like there's a lady in Cleveland who collects EVs. And every time she's looking for something specific, we're like, hey, you got this for Tiffany? Like everyone's looking for her. So we have
shout out to Travis Gibson as well, who we know doesn't necessarily like being out front in front of the camera, but will certainly be out front at the shows alongside with you, Brittney. And as you said, you haven't been doing this all that long, but it's been a remarkable growth pattern over the last year and a half, 2 years. Talk a little bit about that evolution. You shared what the Gibby's family looks like in partnership, but for you and Travis, what have you learned along the way, and what is that partnership like that's brought you to this level?
Well, we started selling more toys and like repacks. So I think, Travis had this idea that we want to provide something that's affordable for kids to like spend their allowance money on. And this guy approached us at a vendor show in Zanesville right before February of last year. And he's like, hey, I'm going to do a card show. I feel like I could use a Pokemon vendor. And so Travis was like, okay, we'll give that a shot. And it really took off from there. And I think initially Travis was like, I'm not a people person. He was really unsure, but he's really flourished in this and he really enjoys it. And I think you can see when people interact with him, he wants to see people happy. He really does it because he likes interacting people and being able to find them the things they need, and everyone feels good walking away from it. So it's been an adventure. It's definitely gone a lot faster than I thought. I thought like, okay, we're going to do this like maybe once a month. We'll see where we go from there. And I think we've been rocking every other weekend, or more than every other weekend. Sometimes we're 3 weekends a month. We might take 1 weekend off. May's pretty booked up. I think June's kind of looking the same way. We might get a break in October.
Maybe. Well, welcome to the trading card world. It doesn't matter what it is. There are shows abundant everywhere, all over the country. And it's kind of interesting how, the sports and the Pokemon kind of work together. And, normally you wouldn't say, hey, man, let's have Pokemon at our sports card show, but it works. And there are a lot of people that do both. I mean, Alex, Outlaw Collectibles, who's our auctioneer, he certainly does both, and he does both very well. So there is a lot of people that do both, and maybe not collecting both, but definitely buying and selling both, right?
I think so. I think we have too much going on to learn a new thing, so we haven't delved into anything outside of Pokemon. I think I had a brief stint with Lorcana and it wasn't great, like gratifying. So I didn't continue. But I mean, we really like mixed shows. We find that they're a lot easier. I mean, we love a good TCG show also, but mixed shows are awesome because there's usually something for the whole family. And I think when Travis and I started this, we didn't want to be just cards. That's why we have plushies and stuff, so that if you were like me starting out, you'd be like, oh, this cute plush, or I don't really care about this $50 piece of cardboard, but I want this like keychain. So I like a mixed show that can really incorporate something for everybody. You can bring both the kids and the wife, and everybody can find something and enjoy it. I mean, I regret that Travis and I are more well-rounded, that we can do sports also, but I think it's awesome that people are delving into both and that it can be multifaceted that way and it's not exclusive.
Well, you're crushing it at the Pokemon game, so no need to jump into sports just yet. I'd referenced earlier in the show, I first seen Pokemon in action way back in 2000. We're talking 25 years ago. And I still don't get it to this day. I don't necessarily need to. My kids get it. They enjoy it. Brittney, what would you recommend to somebody who is interested in learning more about it, but they just don't know where to start with Pokemon? How can you introduce the game and the cards themselves to those interested parties?
You know, to be honest, I don't play the game. But there are a lot of resources and a lot of good communities about it. So like where we're at, New York is 30, 45 minutes-ish from Zanesville. And there's a guy who does a Pokemon club that teaches kids how to play it. I know there are similar groups in Columbus. And from what I've seen of Cleveland's Pokemon scene, I'm sure there's something like that going on there. I think probably social media is going to be a really good tool for people to kind of reach out and see what kind of groups and support there are for like-minded individuals. And there's also a lot of events like trade days before people delve into a show where they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to spend my money on. And I mean, you guys were hosting a trade night with you guys on Friday, so that people who kind of want to get a little bit more acclimated before they say, oh, I need this, you know, $60 to $90 Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery card, they get a chance to say, oh, okay, I like the way this looks in a binder, or, oh, I like this. Like talking to people, especially at shows, is a really great resource to figure out who near you is doing the same thing, if you like the same stuff, and where you can kind of take off from there.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? Like, and you don't necessarily have to play the game to collect the cards and buy and sell the cards.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, there's a ton of people that don't play it and they just, buy and sell. What are some of like the easiest decks, right? That's what they are. Like, what should somebody be looking for if they're just starting out? I mean, not everybody can buy Charizard.
You know, honestly, I don't know. My personal binder is filled with Fuecocos, and I think I like Belly Bolt a lot, so I have several of those. But since I'm not coming from a playing the game background, I don't know what people are going to want to deck. I can say, I watched the cartoon growing up as a kid. So there's a category of people whose experience with Pokemon wasn't necessarily playing it, but it was watching it. So I liked Dratini, I think, when I was 9. There's a lot of people who are like, hey, I remember that. But some of those cards, especially the old ones, I feel like they don't come out in new sets quite as often, especially not with a full art version. So I think it just depends on, finding a Pokemon or two that you like and saying, okay, this is like the card or couple that I want to look at for now. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a lady who really likes Evolutions up in Cleveland, and she will come every single time to the shows. Like the whole group of us, all of Gibby's family and some of the boys in Pittsburgh, we'll text her and say, hey, are you looking for this one? Do you want this one? So I think if there's just something that you can attach to and enjoy about it, it doesn't really matter what set it's from. There's going to be something to find, and sometimes it's the hunt that's fun.
But before we let you go, what's the holy grail in the Gibson family? What are you and Travis looking for?
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I don't have a good answer for this. Travis loves vintage. So anything like old vintage. You can never find it anywhere. Like Travis is real bad about, like, an old guy will come up at a show and be like, I have this near mint Charizard. I just like base set in my trunk. And Travis will be like, I'll go out to your trunk. I'll go see it. So anything vintage, Travis is all over.
Well, we look forward to seeing all the vintage and the new stuff in Medina. Where can people find you on social media?
So we are super active on Instagram. There's a Gibby's family that will showcase everybody in Gibby's family. And then after that, we all have our own individual Instagram. So ours is gibby's.collectibles.toys. I think Anthony's is Sir Sosimo 412. There's Nines and Dimes, TCG, R&D Adventures, and Pokemart 614. Oh, and Dude Trio. We can't forget the boys. But we post collectively on Gibby's family for everywhere we're going to be that weekend. And most of the time we're together in at least a couple of us. So I think we're all in Medina, and then Anthony and Travis and I are shooting right off to Indianapolis right afterwards.
The road never stops. So we appreciate it. We will see you guys and ladies Friday in Medina at the Medina County Collectors Fair. So, Brittney, thank you very much for joining us, and we can't wait to see you this weekend.
We're excited to see you too. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, Jeremy, yeah, Medina is going to be one heck of a show this weekend. I said it earlier, it's 164 tables. People ask, is it going to be majority of Pokemon? So if you go by tables, yes, right? There's going to be more Pokemon tables than anything else, but there is quite a few sports. I mean, probably a third of the room, if not a little bit more. It's not quite 60-40, but there's going to be a lot of sports, and there's going to be a lot of big sports cards in the room. Coach Senderhoff will be there on Friday. So if you're Kent State fans, he'll be set up with some cards there. So it'll be cool. I can't wait. It's just a really neat show. It's a different vibe. Kenny Roto will be out on Saturday from WHBC in Canton. So a lot going on and a lot to see. And Jeremy's muted.
Yeah, for sure, Greenie. A lot going on this weekend, a lot going on tonight. We want to thank Juice from Lootbox TV for joining us at the Mountain State Collectors Convention. We want to thank Avon Cobourne for his time, his gracious time. And Anthony Lewis, who made an appearance tonight on the comments section. That partnership wouldn't have been possible without Anthony. Brittney Gibson from Gibby's family and the entire Gibby's family for supporting Greenie Sports Cards. And of course, our thanks to Haley behind the board. Greenie, our thanks to you for letting us do this every week. You've got the Medina County Collectors Convention coming up this weekend. Check out greeniesportscards.com for all the info. And Greenie, as always, may the cards forever be in your favor.
Yeah, another fun night that goes by quickly. So much to talk about. We can't wait for Medina. One quick shout to Brad Beeman and Ship Shawana. We had a great time at their show last weekend, as we always do. And again, we appreciate it. Collectibles on SI and Sports Cards Nonsense. And we will see you guys again next week at the same time and recap the Medina County Collectors Fair. So have a good night, everybody.